Life has a way of teaching people lessons they never saw coming. My parents and brother learned theirs the hard way when they tried to steal my house. I'm Michael Chun, 35. And this is the story of how my family's greed led to their darkest days, literally. I always knew I was different from my younger brother Tommy. While he spent his college years partying and barely scraping by with C's, I was working 2 jobs while maintaining a 4.0 GPA in electrical engineering. Our parents, especially Mom, always made excuses for him. Tommy's just finding himself, she'd say, while my achievements were treated as expected. After graduating, I started at the bottom of Power Grid Solutions, our city's main electrical utility company. The work was grueling, but I loved every minute of it. Climbing poles in thunderstorms, working overtime during emergencies, learning every aspect of power distribution. This was my passion. Meanwhile, Tommy drifted between jobs, always living at home, always being supported by our parents. He just needs time to figure things out, Dad would say, writing another check to cover Tommy's latest business venture. 10 years of dedication paid off when I became the youngest operations director in Power Grid's history. 2 years later, I was promoted to executive vice president, overseeing the entire grid system for our region. But I kept this promotion quiet from my family. They never showed interest in my career anyway. When I turned 33, I decided to buy my dream house. It was a beautiful colonial-style home in the best neighborhood, with 5 bedrooms and a huge backyard. I'd saved for years, living modestly despite my success. The house cost $850,000, but I had the down payment ready. Why don't you put it in Mom and Dad's names? Tommy suggested during a family dinner. For tax purposes. I declined. I preferred to handle my own finances. That earned me disapproving looks from my parents. In our Asian family, keeping money separate was seen as disrespectful to family harmony. But I'd learned early on to protect my assets. The day I moved in, my parents and Tommy came to help. Mom looked around with a critical eye. "It's too big for one person," she commented. "Tommy could live here too." "I like my privacy," I replied firmly. For 2 years, I lived peacefully in my home, slowly furnishing it exactly how I wanted. Then came the family dinner that changed everything. It was a typical Sunday dinner at my parents' house. Mom had made her special dumplings, and everyone was in an unusually good mood. I should have known something was wrong. "Michael," Mom began, setting down her chopsticks. "Your father and I have been thinking. This house, it's becoming too much for us to maintain." I nodded sympathetically, wondering where this was going. "And Tommy," she continued, "he's finally ready to settle down. He's met someone special." Tommy beamed. "Jessica and I are getting serious. We're thinking about marriage." "That's wonderful," I said, genuinely happy for my brother. "I hope it works out." "It will," Mom said firmly. "Which brings us to the next point." She took a deep breath. "We've decided that your house will be Tommy's wedding gift." The room went silent. I stared at them, waiting for the punchline. "This house is now your brother's," Mom announced, as if declaring a royal decree. "Excuse me," I managed to say. "It makes perfect sense," Dad joined in. "You're single, you work all the time. Tommy needs a proper home to start his family." "My house is not yours to give away," I said slowly, controlling my anger. "Don't be selfish," Mom snapped. "Family shares. Tommy needs it more than you." I looked at my brother, who couldn't meet my eyes. "And you're okay with this?" He shrugged. "Jessica loves the house. We've already planned where to put the nursery." My blood boiled. They'd been planning this, probably showing my house to Jessica without my knowledge. "The decision is made," Mom declared. "Tommy and Jessica will move in next month. You can take the small apartment above the garage." I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor. "No. No." Mom's voice rose. "After everything we've done for you? This is how you repay us." "Everything you've done for me?" I laughed bitterly. "I worked for everything I have. Every penny, every promotion, every brick in that house. I earned it all myself." "Your brother needs this," Mom shouted. "You're being heartless." "The house is in my name," I stated firmly. "You have no right to give it away." Dad cleared his throat. "Actually, we do. Remember when you were traveling for work last month? We used the spare key to let a notary in. The house is now in our names. My world stopped. You did what? Tommy spoke up, his voice smug. We found your documents while you were away. Dad's friend helped with the paperwork. It's all legal. I felt sick. The spare key I'd given them for emergencies. The filing cabinet in my home office. They'd planned this theft meticulously. Get out, I whispered. Michael, Mom began. Get out of my house. I roared, surprising even myself with the volume. It's not your house anymore, Tommy smirked. Jessica and I move in next month. Better start packing, big brother. I left without another word, my mind already formulating a plan. They had no idea who they were dealing with. That night, I made some calls. Being executive VP of Power Grid had its perks, like access to every account in our system. I discovered that my parents had indeed fraudulently transferred my house into their names, using forged signatures and false documents. I contacted my lawyer immediately, but legal proceedings would take time. Tommy and Jessica were determined to move in on the 1st of the month, backed by our parents' assurances that everything was handled. The day of the move arrived. I watched from my car as Tommy and Jessica directed movers, carrying their furniture into my house. Mom and Dad were there too, beaming with pride, as if they were bestowing a rightful inheritance, rather than participating in theft. I waited until everything was moved in, until they were all inside, probably celebrating their victory. Then I picked up my phone. Control room? This is Michael Chen. Execute Operation Blackout. Within seconds, the entire neighborhood went dark, except for every house except mine. The smart grid system I'd helped design allowed for precise control over every connection. I walked up to my front door, using my key one last time. They were all standing in the dark, confused and angry. Power's out. Tommy stated the obvious. Really? I flicked on my phone's flashlight. I hadn't noticed. Call the power company, Mom demanded. I smiled. You mean Power Grid Solutions? Where I've been executive vice president for the past 3 years. The silence was deafening. Funny thing about smart grids, I continued casually. We can control power distribution down to individual houses now. Technology is amazing, isn't it? You can't do this, Dad sputtered. Actually, I can. And I have evidence of your fraud. The security cameras you didn't know about recorded everything. The forged documents, the illegal entry, all of it. You're bluffing, Tommy challenged. I pulled out my tablet, showing them the footage. Their faces clearly visible, as they let the notary in. The documents being forged. Everything. The police are very interested in this footage, I mentioned. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy, serious charges. But I'm willing to make a deal. They waited, their faces illuminated by my flashlight. Return the house to my name immediately. Tommy and Jessica find somewhere else to live. And you all sign a legal document admitting to the fraud. Or what? Mom's voice was shaky. Or this house stays dark. Forever. Try selling a house with no power. Try living in it. And the police get the footage. You wouldn't, Dad began. Try me. Jessica spoke up for the first time. Tommy, this isn't worth it. We can find another house. My brother's face was a mask of fury. This isn't fair. Fair? I laughed. Like stealing my house was fair? The next hour was a flurry of activity. My lawyer arrived with papers. Under the beam of flashlights, my parents and Tommy signed everything, returning the house to my name and admitting to their fraud. Now what? Tommy asked bitterly as the movers started reloading their furniture. Now you leave. And remember, I control more than just this house's power. Push me again, and you might find your new home, wherever it is, experiencing similar problems. They left, their dreams of stealing my home crushed. Mom tried guilt-tripping one last time. How could you do this to family? Family doesn't steal from family, I replied, finally flicking the power back on. Enjoy the dark. The aftermath was predictably dramatic. Mom called daily, alternating between guilt trips and threats. Tommy and Jessica had to rent a small apartment, their dreams of a luxury home shattered. Dad tried to approach my bosses at Power Grid, only to discover that I was now on the board of directors. But the story doesn't end there. 3 months after the incident, I received an unexpected visitor at my office, Jessica, without Tommy. I left him, she announced without preamble. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, genuinely surprised. Don't be. After seeing how he and your parents operated, I couldn't be part of that family. The sense of entitlement, the willingness to steal from their own son, it was eye-opening. She paused, then continued. Tommy's been lying about everything. He told me he was a successful businessman, that your parents were wealthy investors. Finding out the truth, I couldn't build a life with someone like that. I nodded, understanding completely. I just wanted you to know, you did the right thing. Standing up to them, exposing their true nature. You saved me from making a huge mistake. After she left, I sat in my office, thinking about family, loyalty, and justice. The security cameras I'd installed after becoming EVP had saved my home. But they'd also revealed an ugly truth about my family's character. A week later, I received a letter from my father. Unlike Mom's emotional manipulation attempts, this was different. Dear Michael, I've spent weeks trying to write this letter. What we did was wrong. Not just illegal, but morally wrong. Your mother and I lost our way, trying so hard to help Tommy, that we forgot about right and wrong. The shame of being caught, of having our son outsmart us using the very success we never properly acknowledged. It's been a harsh lesson. Your mother won't admit it yet, but we failed as parents. Not just in the theft attempt, but in how we treated you all these years. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know that I'm proud of you, not just for your success, but for standing up for what's right. Even against family. Tommy has moved out. He's finally looking for real work. Sometimes, the darkest moments bring the brightest clarity. With regret and respect. Dad. I kept the letter but didn't respond. Some bridges, once burned, need time before they can be rebuilt. A year has passed since then. Tommy eventually found a job as an apprentice electrician. Ironically, inspired by my success in the power industry. He's starting from the bottom, learning the value of hard work. Jessica married a nice accountant and seems happy. Mom still struggles with accepting reality, but Dad has changed. He volunteers at a legal aid clinic now, helping people avoid the kind of fraud he once committed. We have coffee sometimes, talking about everything except that night. As for me, I'm still in my house, enjoying the quiet and the light. I've installed the most advanced smart home system available, controlling everything from temperature to security with my phone. Sometimes when I'm feeling petty, I dim the lights in my parents' neighborhood, just for a second, just to remind them. But mostly, I focus on my work, continuing to innovate in the power industry. Our latest project? A system that prevents unauthorized changes to power accounts without multiple verifications. I named it the Family Trust Protocol. A little inside joke that makes me smile every time I see it. The house that caused so much drama has become a symbol of something larger. The power of standing up for yourself, the importance of protecting what you've earned, and the bitter truth that sometimes the darkest moments in life come from the people who should bring the most light. I still have the security footage from that night, locked away in a safe. Not because I plan to use it, but as a reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't about hatred or anger. Sometimes, it's about illuminating the truth and letting people sit in the darkness they created until they find their own way back to the light.